Welcome, folks, to another TCG industry podcast. In case there weren't already enough of them in the market, you've got two dudes that commentate TCGs and make content that decided they don't have enough opportunities to talk about card games, so we made a podcast. So welcome. This is MetaShift. My name is Different Fight, and joining me is Kai. We are two YouTubers slash commentators, primarily for the card game Cardfight Vanguard originally. But we've done a bunch of things for a bunch of different card games, and even if we haven't, we play a bunch of different card games. So, Kai, why don't you introduce yourself for the folks that may be seeing us for the first time?
Hi, everyone. I'm Kai. I'm from WCC.
True, yeah, that is this could be the first time somebody hears about that.
Yeah. I have a channel too. We're all YouTubers, right? Different Fight has his Different Fight channel. I have my I think it's at WCC TCG. But yeah, I'm just Kai. I don't really have any usernames. I think on Twitter I'm also Kai or at
Yeah,
Transgraham. But yeah, it should be fun. We don't get a chance to talk that much about card games, surprisingly. So now we have an excuse, right? We have an excuse to let everyone know about our thoughts.
exactly. So, I guess just to bring people in on, I think a lot of people watching us, especially for this first episode, are probably going to be people that already watched our content, so they are pretty familiar with us. But I guess do you want to run through? So I guess also about myself. I do content on a channel called just Different Fight, as is my username. Primarily for like now, I mean, close to. I've been doing it not full time, but I've been doing it on a regular basis for about 13 years, maybe, I think, since 2013, I want to say. And I was basically still a high schooler back when I started, and now I'm 30. So it's been going for a little bit. But aside from that, I've done commentary for a bunch of different games. I do commentary for Shadowverse. I did for both the physical TCG Shadowverse Evolved, but also for the digital version, both the original Shadowverse and Worlds Beyond. I did a bit of Bandai commentary for Digimon in the first year or two, I think the first couple of years of the game as well, back when they were trying out a bunch of different events. But aside from that, I do play a bunch of other games. I've played Pokemon for about as long as I've played Vanguard, but being a high school student slash a broke college student, I could only really afford one TCG at a time. So I'd play Pokemon online because I had a good online client for like so many years now, or good in terms of accessibility. And I would just play Vanguard physically in person back in Europe. And then also played a bunch of dead games, Buddy Fight, Fire Emblem Cypher, to name a few that are great games, but are no longer with us, unfortunately. And these days I do dabble in some Bandai games too. I do play a little bit of Gundam. I did try One Piece. It wasn't really for me, but I know Kai is a big fan of One Piece. And then also been just kind of dabbling and trying out some other stuff like Grand Archive from the more original, like I guess, what are they called? Like Kickstarter TCGs. I do enjoy Grand Archive every so often as well. But if I had to like name my main games, I would say it's like Pokemon TCG and Vanguard and Shadowverse, I think are like the three main ones that I sort of hold close to my heart. So what about you, Kai?
Well, of course, we play Vanguard. We've been we're like the unks in the TCG.
We are
now, right?
the TCG Unks.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we should have named the podcast. TCG Unks.
Too late.
Too late.
I've been playing TCGs for a very long time as well. I think my first TCG was the original Pokemon, starter decks, all the way back
Ooh.
then. But now primarily playing Vanguard. Don't play as much Y Shorts as well. But
Right.
yeah, still play. I play a lot of the Bandai ones now, like One Piece, Gundam, just because there's like a lot of people playing them, especially in Australia, and like all my friends are playing them. So it's just TCGs are all about community and friends most of the time, right? So it's fun playing those. And I played Dragon Ball as well recently. I got roped into playing that. I'm also getting roped to play Grand Archive as well, which is pretty funny. I think likely my first tournament will be maybe
in Singapore. First event ever travels 10 hours.
Yeah, and I'm learning Riftbound. I'm learning Riftbound because they've got the regionals coming up. So I mean,
Mm,
it's a great time to be playing TCGs, right? There's just
yeah.
so much choice, so many things you can try, and like whatever you like, you can honestly just play, which is great. Big fan of the current time. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's just that's. I mean, if I talk about all the TCGs I've played, I think like I'll go on for a very long
We'd use
time.
up
So we'll leave it at
the
that.
entire hour, right?
Yeah, well, Magic. We can say Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, all that stuff, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, I think
bit
we
more.
both had phases where we played Yu-Gi-Oh! I played competitively during like the first 2 years of the Link format, so like Trickstar,
Mm,
Altergeist, Salamangreat, Sky Striker, all that stuff.
yeah, and I was like before that. I was like Magical Scientist, Chaos,
Oh, that's a
like
good bit before
Hyper.
that.
When it's like when Yu-Gi-Oh was still getting plus ones, not plus one game.
Yeah, this was before Vanguard even came out, I think.
Like before Goat format, you know.
Oh, yeah, that does go pretty far back. But yeah,
Yeah.
so we've played a lot of things. And we generally speaking, I'd say keep an eye on the general industry as well, even with the games we don't really play, which is why we wanted to make this podcast in the first place, because there's a lot of fun things that happen. I feel like even if you don't play games, it's cool to look at stuff. Like for example, we didn't really talk about it, but Kai obviously, as you can probably tell from his accent, is from Australia. And then I'm originally from born in Lithuania, grew up in Luxembourg. My passport is Luxembourgish. And I now have been living in Japan for 4 years. So I've been here for a little bit since the pandemic calmed down, basically. And it's obviously, the hotspot for TCGs. It's fantastic to be here as a TCG player. But I feel like, everywhere in the world right now, TCGs are just booming like crazy. It's ridiculous how
Yeah.
even 4 years ago, before I moved to Japan, um, we could like my local community back in Luxembourg. We always had a really big scene for games like Magic, for Yu-Gi-Oh, and then Bandai games were really starting to pick up thanks to Digimon as well. The first wave of Digimon, and now a lot of the Digimon players converted into One Piece, and then some people stuck with Digimon, some people went into One Piece as One Piece continued to grow as well. And now like Pokemon, I remember begging my locals, I was like, could you guys like host a Pokemon tournament? It's like, oh, the system to sign up is too confusing. We don't want to do like there's too much hassle for too few players. And so I never had a Pokemon locals when I was living in Europe. But then now I talk to my friends back in Luxembourg, and they've got like weekly cups, so like 30 players for Pokemon all the time. And I'm like, damn, like this is I kind of moved to Japan, obviously for work and career. But one of the big reasons why I became interested in Japan in the first place was because I play TCGs, and I was like, well, this is the best place to play TCGs. But now it's like everywhere in the world feels pretty good for TCGs because it just becomes so mainstream, and a big part of that is just
Yeah.
like Bandai and Pokemon and every other company that manages to kind of keep up with that competition, I feel like.
I feel like we might be getting too many TCGs, you know? Like
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
everything is becoming a TCG
Dude, there's
nowadays.
like a
So
Harry Potter one now as well. I was walking through Ikebukuro and they had like a huge poster for Harry Potter
oh,
one. Saw like a My Little Pony TCGs. Like there's everything these days. It's
Cyberpunk TCG
ridiculous.
as well. They had a big Kickstarter for
Cyberpunk,
that,
yeah,
right?
that's like the big Kickstarter
Yeah.
one. And some TGs don't survive too. I mean, I think I saw Altered. I think just recently announced that they
Mm.
couldn't sustain themselves anymore because of like their manufacturing costs or something along those lines.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we're like it's just a crazy time right now. If you asked me like 10 years ago, that TCGs would be, I think I wouldn't say it's like mainstream, but it's like relatively like getting there, right? It's like before it was a niche kind of gaming thing, but now it's like just part of the gaming scene, and it's not just people uh playing games, also collectors and things like that. Like I recently went into my mall, and there was just a new shop that opened. It was a
Mm.
TCG shop, but it was just a collector's TCG shop where they're just selling slabs, and that was it. I'm like,
Oh, okay.
"Dude,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
mean, that's it
I
wouldn't
don't
have
know if
existed
it will work
before.
out, but like, hey, it's happening, right? So
Yeah.
it's a crazy time, a crazy time.
It really is, and it's like, and it's definitely there's been both good and bad. Collectibles have definitely taken a turn for the like for the better in terms of how much people know about them, but for the worse in terms of like being able to actually access the hobby, right? So it's like if you, for example, for Pokemon, it's basically impossible to buy boxes these days, no matter where you are. Like in Japan, everything is lottery. In English, it's like constantly everything's sold out or scalped, right, or like
Except
sold
Perfect
for
Order,
double.
I think. I think no one wants perfect order. I heard this. I've
Yeah.
seen
That's what I've been hearing
boxes of
too.
it.
So many good cards in it though. So many good cards. There's a full art of one of my favorite protagonists in the franchise history too, which is, I'm surprised that despite that it's still not sought after too much. But yeah,
I mean,
so
you take the good or the bad, right? Like even though you can't buy packs,
mm,
the games are still growing, right?
it's crazy,
Which
dude.
is crazy to think about it,
Seeing
right?
Europe have 2,000 plus player tournaments for like regionals is unheard of. I was talking to a German friend that lives here as well, and he used to play in tournaments back when we were traveling around for Vanguard all the time. And I was like, I'm not wrong in my memory that Pokemon regionals used to have like 200, 300 players, and that was considered a lot
Yeah.
back then too,
Yeah.
like in Europe. And he's like, yep, that's correct. We had like 300 players, like German events and whatnot. And then look at now, it's like 2,000. It's like, I remember when like last year Vanguard hit 2,000 players for the first time, and that was like such a huge deal. And that was in Japan, like the country with the biggest player base for the game in the world. Whereas now like random city in Spain or in somewhere in Eastern Europe can hit over 1,000 players, and it's ridiculous how just how big these hobbies have gotten. And then seeing the things that like Riot's doing with like things like Riftbound. That's like the one thing that I'm really jealous of is like I can't play Riftbound because it doesn't exist in Japan. And like there is a bit of interest. Some stores are selling boxes imported, but because of like I'm assuming because of import tax and all that stuff, they're selling them for like really marked up prices. So I'm like, man, I could just order singles and then pick them up when I go visit my parents in Europe, and then don't have to deal with all that. But it really does feel like you don't even have to be like stuck playing the biggest game either, right? It's like you don't have to be, you don't have to play Pokemon to experience that kind of like huge audience either, because every other game feels like it is starting to catch up to that as well, whether it's Bandai or Riftbound or, if anything, it feels like the older games are the ones that have to start catching up, because like you don't hear these kind of things being talked about as much when it comes to like, I think with Yu-Gi-Oh! It's been improving bit by bit, especially after they started to do the full arts. There's been a lot more attention, and then obviously Master Duel had a good impact. But then with like Bushiroad or like sometimes with Magic as well, I'm not sure. I feel like there's a big casual player base for Magic, but then I never see people talk about
Commander.
it's like
Commanders, all Commander.
yeah. I feel like I don't see people go like, we just had like a multiple thousand player tournament for Modern, right? Like if you ask somebody, will tell you that.
I think half of it is just like the tournament structure, right? So some of them will require you to like qualify first before you can attend. But I think we're at a stage where, because there's so much new influx of players and interest in the TCG market, even if you're like a smaller TCG, you can still kind of sustain yourself. Like if we just talk about tournament attendance, for example, you have the thousands, and then you have the ones who have the hundreds, right? And then after that will be the ones with a couple of hundreds of attendance. But even those, because there's just interest in the market as well, it's sustainable. It's not like back then it'd be on life support, right? But now it'd be, we're doing okay. Maybe not the best, but we're getting there, or it's doing okay. We're getting by. So I think there's like some players would just like big games. They go for the biggest things, and they'll be like, the Pokemon, they'll be like Yu-Gi-Oh! They'll be the big three, right? But then if you like the more small community, the more close knit community, then there's still those for you, and there's a lot of them that you can pick out. And now there's like this kind of mid tier category as well, where has the best of both worlds in a way. So you can just pick out the ones that you want to play, really, and that's
exactly
a win for everyone.
I saw a really interesting video. I think I might have linked it to you as well. I don't remember the name of the person that made it, but they were talking about the general topic was like how many TCGs there are around now, and how like whether they'll survive and stuff like that. I think that's been a big point that people like to talk about, because everyone talks about when the bubble collapses, everything's gonna be gone. But I think you brought up a good point, and that video also brings up a similar point where it's like the market is so different nowadays, where it's like back then, if you made one mistake or you made one fatal mistake and that was it, you couldn't be forgiven, and it's like that passionate small player base would then feel betrayed, and that was you just lose it, and then it would lead to cancellation. Whereas now it feels like you can, if you can sustain even like a small player base, sometimes even like you print a broken card and then you have a tier 0 format, it's like people are a bit more lenient nowadays, I feel like, with those things. And you don't have as much
Mm.
of that kind of like immediate exodus the moment something is wrong, right?
Yeah, because you have like a spectrum of like companies, I guess. So if you built up a dedicated play base, it's because you like put an effort and people really like your product and like what you've been doing. But now you can contrast it with maybe other other TCGs that might not have such a responsive community or development team behind it, and then you go, it's not that bad here. It's like, maybe it's that, but it's also just I think to survive, what we call the bubble. I mean, we're always going to be hearing,
Yeah.
the bubble's going to collapse soon. It's going to be next year, and it applies to a lot of other things, like housing
Yeah.
bubbles and things like that. But for TCGs, the main thing is your community, right? So if you can build a strong community, regardless what happens in the future, as long as you have that sustainable group of people that's like sustaining your product, then I think that's how you get through like the hard times. Like you're gonna make mistakes.
Hmm.
You're gonna again. You're gonna print broken cards, or there's still gonna be things that just are just out of your control, right? If cards don't get manufactured in time, or like the ship containing all of NA's product just gets set on fire and it gets delayed by 3 months.
Yeah.
As long
Yeah.
as you have
Yeah.
a sustainable like group of people that support you and see that you're trying hard and doing your best, then that's how you can get through like the rough times. Because like card games will always have, well, games in general will always have their normal players or the people who come and go, the real casuals, right? Um, and you can't always just rely on them. Like they're like the icing on the cake. It's nice that they're here and buying your stuff, but eventually they're gonna disappear at some point. So as long as you have that dedicated group, I think that's how you get through the hard times.
100%. And it's like, I think how you sustain that group is also very important, especially, when you've got a game that's been running for a long time, then there's even more pressure because you've got people that have been playing your game for, a decade and suddenly they have high expectations. So that's
Mm.
definitely something that is very important, I think, for a lot of the, especially, for new up and coming TCGs, don't get too misled by like the first hype bubble and think like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
now we got all this hype, everyone's buying our game, it's the best, this is it, we're smooth sailing. It's like usually the first two sets you'll have that kind of very party experience where everyone is here from all the different games trying stuff out. But then after like set 3, 4, 5 is where you start to see if your game can last, right? And if the community is
yeah,
there
yeah.
to stick with it, or if they were there because you promised some amazing prize cards in set one format and then the prize card tournaments ended and now there's like no players remaining. I think we've seen that story happen a couple
Oh,
times recently as well with certain games too.
yeah, like set 1 and 2, you have the shiny stuff. Number 2, they're like waiting around. They're going, "Oh, second set could be really good." But then set 3, like the shininess kind of wears off, right? And then that's when people go, I don't like the direction where the game's going. There's not too much, or there's either too much power creep or never enough power creep. You're never
Yeah.
going to be able to satisfy everyone, but you just kind of have to see, how many people are sticking around after your initial wave of like, the shiny wave.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I agree. So yeah, this is for those of you tuning in for the first time. I mean, everyone basically is for the first time, but this is kind of what our podcast is going to be like. Since we do play a lot of different games, we'll sometimes just be kind of talking about the general state of things. But we generally do plan. I realize we haven't mentioned this yet. We plan to have episodes out every 2 weeks, at least for the start. And then maybe if there's like some huge breaking news that needs to be talked about, and we have so much we want to say, maybe we'll break that pattern and release like a bonus episode or something like that. I'm sure there will be times when there's like some crazy announcement that shatters the world, or some incredible event happened and we really want to talk about it. So like there might be some exceptions, but generally speaking, every couple of weeks, and we'll be mostly covering latest happenings in the industry while giving some focus to Vanguard as well, and also just discussing what we've been playing, what we've been doing, and always have sort of like a main topic that we want to talk about. But before we do go into today's main topic for this first episode, what have you been playing, Kai, in terms of tournaments? What have you been dabbling in, even if it's not in tournaments? Any TCGs you're trying out? You did talk about Dragon Ball earlier, so you want to tell us about that?
Yeah. Yeah, so recently I got dragged into playing Dragon Ball, just because it's like a regionals. So Bandai events in Australia have been, because there's like now Dragon Ball, Digimon, Gundam, and One Piece as like their main events. They've either been They all their events like 2 days, and either they have like a main event and then a big side event for day two, or they combine different games together. So like One Piece usually has their just a big event for 2 days because it's just really really big, right? But then
Mm,
things like Gundam and Digimon get paired together, or like Dragon Ball, kind of like what Bushiroad does with their BCS. They put a
yeah,
bunch of games together. But One Piece is just again really really big, so it usually gets its own thing.
it's
And
like the
then
Vanguard
recently there was
equivalent for Bouchard games.
yeah, yeah. So recently they had the Gundam with a Digimon or Dragon Ball kind of weekend. So I don't really play Digimon. So I got roped into playing Dragon Ball because apparently they convinced me saying the prize cards are crazy crazy good now. So
Okay,
yeah, they taught me how to play. And it was quite fun. It's like um I played Dragon Ball a while back, and I didn't really like it that much because it just felt like numbers, and then you put it onto like give it shields and things like that. So it felt very rushed. But now it's kind of evolved to a point where there's just so many different combos, and they go on for a very very long time that it
okay.
feels like and there's like guarding. It feels and there's like when you attack with your leader, you like draw a card. So it's kind of similar to Vanguard, like
I mean, One Piece did have those similarities as well with like the battle
yeah.
system.
Yeah, yeah, but, like, the interesting thing was that it's kinda developed into a point where there's a lot to kind of, put your time into and learn things, which is something I like. I like, when I'm playing game, I'm, like, learning new things.
Hmm.
I'm getting better as I, like, play the game and, like, learning new tricks. So that was a surprisingly fun experience. The one thing I do have to say is that the foils, the holo stuff, the high rarity stuff for Dragon Ball looks really, really nice. It's, like, super bling, all gold and stuff.
Yeah, I've
Um,
seen some in
so
card shops. Yeah, like the foiling they use has like a nice little sort of like curve pattern.
yeah, 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 and it kinda fits the theme, right? You're like, "Oh, you're Super Saiyan," you're like golden hair kinda
Right,
thing.
right,
Now
right,
your whole
right, right.
card is gold. So apart from the fact that, like, the normal rarity is usually just a bunch of screenshots, when you get to the high rarity stuff, it looks really, really nice. Um, and then I play the Gundam regionals, so that is I mean, I call it the perfect casual side TCG.
Okay.
Which works out really good, right? Because you don't have to invest much time in playing it. You don't have to uh, invest much money into upgrading all your decks. Like the game's surprisingly cheap. I've been
Mm-hmm.
playing blue white blockers for 3 sets now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's if you want to invest the time, like one of my friends is really into Gundam TCG, you can,
Mm-hmm.
and that could just be your main game, but it can also be a side game, which I think is what a lot of people have as a side game.
Yeah.
Um, because it's just so easy to just like keep up to date, and just like the game itself is very very simple. If you know TCG basics, you already know a lot of the game. So yeah, it's a perfect side game. Which I think if that was Bandai's intention, there they done a really really good job.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, usually at the beginning, especially, I think a lot of their games have been quite like low to the ground in terms of like
Mm,
getting started. My experience with Digimon is kind of similar too, where the first maybe 5, 6 sets, it was very like you had like a deck called Rookie Rush that was basically all about just playing small bodies and just pushing down your opponent as fast as possible. And it just kind of like rewarded the base, like the elements of the game and the rules. But then nowadays, every time I try to pick up Digimon again, I'm just kind of like overloaded with keywords, and I'm just reading. I just pick up a new card for the deck that I already owned. Right? It just they release 1 or 2 new support cards every year, sometimes more. And I'm reading them, and I'm like, I don't know what these keywords do. I don't know what they mean. You know. So I feel like that's like the direction I've seen Bandai games take in the past, and I wonder if that's going to happen with Gundam as well, because Gundam also has a lot of keywords.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's something that I wonder how they're going to balance that going forward as well. But I do agree. Like right now, Gundam is an amazing, just like side TCG where you can just pick it up and play, right? You can have your deck on you at all times, and just it's if somebody asks you for a game, it's so easy to just jump in and play without necessarily having to like, sit through spreadsheets and learn combos and lines and, all this other stuff, right?
I think it fits like the probably the target demographic of a typical Gundam person pretty well, right? Because I think if you were like an old Gundam fan, you'd be in around for a very very long time. you have a job, you have things to do. You don't
Yeah.
have like 24/7 to spend devoting your time just to card games.
Yeah.
I think like the general image of a person who plays card games have really changed now in the last couple of years, especially
Yeah.
post COVID, where before it'd just be you think, oh, it's definitely a nerdy dude who's never seen the light of day, and all they do is play card games. But now anyone hops in, they go, my favorite character is Setsuna. I'm gonna build a deck around that, or I
Mhm.
love Luffy. I'm just gonna build my deck, come in a buy like the highest rarity, come into locals maybe once a month, and then just go to regionals, and that's it. Like that's all they do. But that's like the market has like totally changed.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's kind of like, a lot of other hobbies too. It's like you can, technically there's pro level basketball, and those players are dedicating every single moment of their lives, to be the best they can. But there's also just, gather up some friends at the local courts once a month just to shoot some hoops and have a good time, right? And it's like I feel like TCGs have finally gone away from that, like, oh, you must, like, it's like you must top, you must do this, you must go to tournaments, you must grind. And now it's become a lot more of a casual experience. And I think also it reflects in the content too, because if you look at Yu-Gi-Oh, for example, majority of Yu-Gi-Oh content that does well isn't like first place deck list, or like as it used to be, or like, oh, here's like a 1 hour long combo tutorial of how to play, I don't know, like Fiendsmith or something.
Yeah,
But
that's all in
nowadays it's
Metafy
like
now.
all these like
No
roulette
one releases.
things, like all these like casual formats. Like one of my favorite content creators out there is Ruggles, and he just does like cinematic vlogs of like, going to locals and that like whole person to person experience. And it's like it reflects, right? The environment has changed, the players have changed. It's not that the old folks that used to play that just competitively have like moved away or something. Is just that there's so many more people now that it's like
Mm.
it's become more general, and more content that appeals to general audience is what's doing well, right? I mean, there's like there's a channel called, like, I think, if I get it wrong, I apologize. I think it's Purple Cliff. And they make a lot of like Pokemon like challenges and stuff. And I think they have like a 1 million view video of them like going to a Pokemon regional with 1 week of practice. And it's like super like fast, quick edits, vlog style, all this kind of stuff. Very like humorous. But it's like that's a very general video, that anybody can understand. It's a Pokemon TCG tournament that people are now aware that Pokemon cards aren't just for collecting, they are also for playing. And then, if you manage to wrap it nicely, it can do pretty well. And I think that really does reflect on the general scene, right? As you said.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's good to see, right? I'd love. You know what's funny is that the only thing that TCGs don't really have now is like the kid, because back
Yeah.
then it'd be like back then it'd be schoolyard. You'd have like the lunchbox and all that. But now like the TCGs are like so, I guess in a way so expensive, but I guess there's like a lot of other avenues where kids can enjoy themselves or find waste their time on, that it doesn't have to be like such a nerdy thing anymore. I like how Pokemon has its the juniors and the
Yeah.
seniors and the masters kind of divisions, because it shows that they're trying to promote their game to a different audience. But I mean, Vanguard used to do it right back in. They had the juniors
Yeah.
as
In
well.
Japan, they did have
Um,
the junior division for the first couple of years, I think.
Yeah, but like now TCGs isn't really a kiddie thing anymore. It's like
Hmm.
you have to be at least uni student or higher, or you can earn your own. Or if you're a uni student, you probably don't have that much money anyway. But
Depends on the
but
game,
you
I
have to,
guess. I think Pokemon is very
yeah.
wallet friendly. It's
Only now, right? Before it became such a collector thing, it was not
mm,
cheap.
no,
But
dude.
now it's very
Fifty
cheap.
$50 shamans, man.
Yeah.
That was a
Which is a
time.
good thing. I think like that's like another plus, right? And depending on your wallet, there are different games that you can play. Of course, uh not every game is accessible to you, but there is at least something that you can do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. So you got your Bandai stuff going on. You also had a
Yeah.
you had a Bushiroad BCS recently too, no?
Oh yeah, yeah. We had Sydney. It's I went in with prison, Seraph, got killed
Ah,
by a bunch of OTs. So it was a great it
great
was a great
experience.
experience.
10 out of 10.
Great experience. Yeah.
That's just another day, man. That's how it'd be.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not complaining. I didn't complain, guys. The viewers. Some viewers are like, they always complain about it. I died to it. That's it.
Yep. I packed up, packed up and went.
Yeah, no. It was good seeing. I think like the Sydney crew has done really really well in Vanguard, um, standard and premium. I think
Mm.
both in Melbourne and Sydney. Like I think every single top 3 spot that's going to Worlds is from a Sydney player,
Oh,
and then
okay.
mainly from like 2 locals. So
Damn.
again, it just shows that if you have a strong locals and you lift everyone up, generally you can do pretty well, regardless. Like if the game itself, if they're luck or not. Some of these standard players have been they've been it's like the second third time at Worlds.
Yeah,
So
which is
I
good,
mean they're
right?
doing
That's
something right,
definitely,
right? Yeah.
it's at first, in the first couple of years of D, we definitely talked about how, it's like we're seeing different people every time, but nowadays it's starting to, like, we're seeing repeat qualifications here and there. Sometimes they qualify through different games too. Like I know some people like qualify for standard, then qualified for premium, and then qualified for evolve. And then they just kind of like just do the cycle as long as they get to come here, right?
Yeah, yeah,
They do
yeah.
get to keep coming back, which is good. But yeah, I think I also have a Vanguard event next week at the time of recording this, but it's probably going to be this week at the time of this going up, in Niigata, which is on the other coast away from Tokyo. But it's not too far. It's like a couple hours by train. Doesn't start too early, so you can actually make the day trip without having to go the night before,
Oh, nice.
which is very
Nice. Good.
appreciated. And it's gonna be a team event, so I haven't really been testing much since both the restriction list we had and also since
Trust
the new
me,
set.
just play Aichi, just play
Yakuza,
Yakuza, Like a Dragon,
like a
just
dragon.
those 2 deck, and then those 2 decks are so good. I've been playing them, I've been trying them out. And yeah, they're like a tier above everything else. You kind of feel it, right?
Okay,
And I think the funny thing with Yakuza is that
it's so
it has a
tanky.
lot
It's
of
like
defense.
the
It's really
numbers. It's
tanky.
like 15k shield on everything.
Yeah, it's literally like like they removed one of the tankiest decks from the game, like Virgila, like they nuked it
Yeah,
out of existence, and then they got rid of all the other defensive options you have,
and then
and
they
then they
made,
print another deck with like just 4 more copies of 15k shields, and
yep,
then 4 more copies of like a 10k shield,
yep,
and then yeah, it's a restanding Vanguard, just 5 attacks. So it's kind of just like Virgil in a way,
yeah,
I guess you I guess you don't get a crit on grade 2, but that's kind of it.
yeah. And I guess you don't get support either, I suppose, because you're a collab deck. So it's gonna be the usual good for 6 months, and then we see where it goes after that. But yeah, it's like our team already basically is. It's like if we're going for the way the tournaments work in Japan is that for the solo tournaments where it's like 1v1, it's just whoever has the highest win percentage wins and goes to the top cut. But in team tournaments, they do something called diversity cut, where if you are not undefeated, so for example, if you have 3 wins and 1 loss or 4 wins and 1 loss, it doesn't matter if posts at the end of Swiss, your Swiss standings would normally be like 5th and you would go to top cut. What they do is they will check which decks are undefeated and then prioritize the teams that do not have matching decks with the undefeated teams. So for example, if the undefeated team has, like, let's say Alfred, right? The Aichi icon deck, then they will prioritize teams that don't have that deck in their team lineup. So whenever you approach one of these tournaments, you kind of have to, like, we always talk with the team. It's like, all right, are we going for undefeated record or are we going for X1 and make it in through diversity? And then it also comes down to like, okay, do we want to put one deck that will be good into the diversity cut? Do we want to put 2 or the whole team? But then the question becomes like, okay, well, if we make the whole team, aim for diversity cut, then are we just going to lose in top 16 immediately because our deck power is so much lower? So it's looking like, from our discussion so far, it's looking like we're going for the undefeated lineup. And then just because, if we go X1, make it in through diversity, and then just lose in top 16, you're still going home with nothing. So it's the same as not making top cut in the first place. So that's how we're approaching it. And we'll see how it goes. I've not been practicing that much because I have Pokemon Champions League Aichi in Nagoya happening in 3 weeks. So it's actually quite a intense 3 weeks now. So next week is Niigata on the 25th of April. And then the May 3rd and 4th is the Card Game Festival, which we're playing in together as well. That one is teams, but that one is not diversity cuts. That's a rare exception.
Perfect. Just play the best decks.
Yep. And then the week after that, I have Champions League Aichi, which is the last big tournament for the Pokemon competitive season, because Pokemon season typically runs from September to August, but August is only Worlds, and then June is usually where the final tournament that's open entry happens. Except in Japan, June is when Nationals happens, and you have to either qualify to Nationals or there's very few slots available for lottery that can get directly into Nationals, but it's very, very low chance that you can make it into that. I do have a friend that has, but it's very, very low chance. So technically this event in 3 weeks is the last one for this competitive season. And there will be no more official majors outside of Nationals and Worlds until September for Pokemon in Japan, which is a pretty big gap for off-season. And I always wondered why they do it this way, because off-season happens during summer break, which is when a lot of students have the most time. And I feel like that would be a good chance. They usually do some tournaments that don't connect to Worlds and don't connect to, championship points, and they're a bit more casual, a bit more laid back. But yeah, so I have that in 3 weeks, and unlike Gundam, I think Pokemon is a game that very much rewards time put into the game. It's like the more you know the field, the more you know what you're playing around, and the more you know what weaknesses your opponent's deck has, the more you know what goes into the average deck list of an archetype, because then it's like once you've seen a certain number of cards, you can go okay, then he probably doesn't have this anymore. I can play a bit more risky here, or I have to play more safe because I haven't seen this. So it's been fun to test Pokemon, and I think it definitely takes a lot of time to get good. But I'm coming off of a pretty good finish, as I had a City League, which in Japan you have City League runs throughout the year, but it's split into 4 seasons, the same as the seasons of the planet. And so basically you can get to play 1 time per season in Japan. And so that means you have
one time
in September, October, November, and then 1 time in December, January, February, and then 1 time from March to, or it's a bit smaller seasons. They're squished because it has to be between September and May. So basically I had my season 4 City League happen just a week ago, actually, and I managed to get top 8, which was very nice, because I haven't had a Pokemon top in about a year, because I just kept going 3-3. I just kept going 3-3 in every tournament I played in. And so I feel like I'm currently riding a wave. I have a nice group to play test with, and overall just have people that I can ask for genuine opinions on whether I think my takes are bad or not. And we actually have a pair of mutual friends where one of them is an ex-Vanguard / Yu-Gi-Oh! YouTuber, now going all in on VGC, Mr. Solemn. And then his number one playtesting partner is called Noman. And it's funny because Solemn is super into VGC, but then Noman is super into TCG now. So we've just been exchanging ideas and stuff every day. And he's also been grinding the game quite a lot. So I feel like I have a good support system for the game, and it's been fun. So I've been putting in a lot of time for that. And then I think once that's done, I'll have some Vanguard events still remaining, but not that much. I think after the Card Game Festival in 2 weeks' time, I can't remember when the next event is that I'm playing in. I know there are some other WGPs happening in the summer, but I can't
but you don't want to go anywhere in summer, in Japan.
Yeah, summer in Japan is it's pretty brutal. It's not the best time to be traveling. So
it's planning your holiday. I'll be honest. I was thinking I want to go to one WGP, one singles WGP. But it's even summer. I don't want to go.
Yeah, I guess you can come in the second half of the year. They're pretty nice. It's definitely nice when you're with people as well. It's not the best experience doing it on your own. So I would recommend going with someone. It's always a much better experience that way.
Yeah, but there is we are going somewhere together, right? Like apart from Daivangasai, you
Yeah.
know,
So you did
it's
talk about how we are both sort of trying out Grand Archive a little bit. Is this the what you're alluding to?
yeah, it's so we're gonna go to we're planning to go to Grand Archive Worlds.
Yeah.
So
So that's in
managed to
Singapore.
snag a ticket. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in
So
Singapore. I guess we'll see people in Singapore. Well, I guess we're mainly there as tourists, right? I don't expect us to be qualifying for any world championships, but they do run like a 3v3 tournament.
yeah.
Um, and
And just in
I
general,
think
like
we'll be
there's
part.
so much stuff to do. Like when I went to my first Grand Archive event that they had here in Tokyo, I didn't even know the rules of the game yet. Like barely. I
Mm,
barely learned the rules of the game like the day before. And I just went there to see the vibe. And I was really impressed with how much there was to do and like how much fun it was just spend a couple days there. Meeting a lot of familiar faces because obviously a lot of Vanguard players play Grand Archive as well or like move to it. And in general, I feel like the company behind it is just doing really cool stuff. And, you know, the game itself is also similar to Pokemon in terms of time commitment. I think if you want to do good in Grand Archive, you really need to know the game well. So in that sense, I think once it gets closer to August, I think I'll definitely start to grind a little bit more. They do have their like sandbox client coming up as well, if not already out.
it's already out
To
apparently. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so that'll be good for testing.
So we already have our third member, so unfortunately, no application process. But yeah, what I've been told is that they do it the system where you're only allowed like 4 cards for the whole team.
Yeah,
Versus,
yeah, you can't have anything in common basically.
yeah, so like if I play 1 card, then everyone else, you two can only play 3 of that card left.
Yeah,
So
something along those lines. So we'll see. It's
so
like
it makes
my card pool is very limited, but I know that our third has like literally has everything. So I think he'll be
yeah.
able to cover for us.
I think we make him play the best deck, and then we'll just try and stagger win. I think that's the strat, right? But I think
Yeah,
it's interesting that like the different team tournaments have their own kind of rules.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
Vanguard,
yeah.
you have to play a different ride line. I was about to say clan, but it's now a different ride line. Um, so I think teams are just fun. I love teams, even though teams don't really go to world championships. But I mean, I think it's cool. I wish they had like a team world finals, or even like for Vanguard, you have like nation world finals. Australia versus like
Mm.
America. I remember Magic did it like way back. I
Uh-huh.
don't know if they still do it, but it's like before like the singles world championships, you'll have like the nation team world championships, which I think it's cool. I love playing in a team.
Yeah,
Um,
it's kind of like the World Cup in that sense, right?
yeah. It makes you I think teams makes you try harder. Singles, you're like, "Oh, I was busy, but if I lose, it's just my fault, right?" But
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
you're in a team, you make each other try harder.
Exactly. It's like you have
I
a
think it's
you're not just doing this for yourself, you're doing it for, you're the three of you. You have a reason to you have a motivation to do better
yeah.
and try to improve. So I do think that is something that makes these things stand out. And there are some games that don't really do team tournaments at all. Like Pokemon does do side events with 3v3, and those are quite fun. I had a very fun experience doing that at the last Champions League in Osaka that I went to. But I do like the games where team tournaments are kind of like mainstream as well.
Like I think some games it might be hard for you to do like a special kind of team tournament. While some other ones might be really really easy. I know a lot of games nowadays they try to make commander formats as well. Just for like every like Gundam, you have like the 2v2 that's like already inbuilt kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing, and it's interesting to see how they try to do it. But I don't know. I still like it's just a team of 3. You do your best,
Yep.
give it your best shot, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I do think it is something that I do appreciate a lot. But overall, yeah, it's like I guess the big thing that we can conclude from this whole discussion is that there's so many things to do, so many events, and so many ways to enjoy these games. And things just kind of keep on evolving, right? It's like there's new mechanics, new new ban lists that shake up the meta, new sets and new products. And then speaking of new, we move on to the main topic for today, which is the new era for Vanguard, which was announced just last week. So this is, of course, from the social media on the official social media for Cardfight Vanguard on the JP side. But they basically announced that it's like in line with the 15th anniversary, they are announcing the new era, and they released this trailer. I don't want to play it too much so we don't get our first freaking upload on this channel hit with copyright. But so they announced that 2027 will be a brand new era of the franchise for Cardfight Vanguard, a brand new anime series. And of course, as there is excitement, there is also some reservations and shakiness, I suppose, that happen at the same time. Because for those of you that don't keep up with Vanguard or don't play it and are just somehow found this, essentially Vanguard has 2 weekly streams where they announce new cards and new events and new reveals, which is unheard of. Every time I talk to people from other TCGs, they're like, what? On top of that, we have daily card reveals as well, which is like, they do really give us a lot to work with every week. But on one of the streams, the person that runs the stream essentially kind of like explained more about this, because essentially this is like 2027 brand new TV anime is in the works, right? So, and the way the trailer shows it is like they show each of the eras of the game. So if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh player, it's as if the trailer goes like from Yugi to Judai to Yusei to freaking Yuma, and then, you know, it keeps going through all the protagonists, then boom, 2027, right? And so because of that, everyone's like, well, what's going to happen to my cards now, right? Are we just bringing in new mechanics, or is this going to be like something else? So they explained a little bit on it, and there was this tweet that essentially expanded or like kind of like summarized what was said on the stream. And basically they say that this is he wrote this, or they wrote this to make sure that like the nuance is as told as possible. But I can try to see if the translation what this gives us. So yeah, so I say that I've written this trying to keep the nuances as intact as possible, but it's not verbatim, so please be aware. So basically it's like the protagonists will change, as you know, that's I think the one thing that everyone is not surprised by. So this is a bad translation, so maybe I'll go back. So this basically says that they do not plan to like reboot or rotate the game, and it won't be the case that the current anime characters' cards will not be supported. But this is like a very vague way of saying yes or no. It doesn't really tell us much. And this will not be the D series, which the last few years of the game have been called the D series. So because it's not going to be the D series, the D icon at the bottom left of the cards will change. And so when this stream happened, people were kind of surprised. It was like, well, what's going to happen with my cards then? Because, you know, the current standard format specifically says that its cards with the D icon are usable, right? So I'm assuming they'll just, you know, maybe change the wording on that. But then the person who runs the stream, Knack, he made a tweet in both English and Japanese, and this one he does say is translated with D-Bell, but basically spans saying that, mentioned this a few times before, but since information about the new anime has been released, I'd like to go over it again. There will be no standard rotation, so no reboot for the new series next year. This doesn't mean we're switching to a rotation or block system either. So you can interpret this as, you know, they will just add new cards to the current card pool, and that will just be standard going forward. And then regarding the icon, since it follows the anime series, the D series use D icons, the new series will have its own icon, basically. So he says, you can think of it as cards being added to the current standard pool, so please keep that in mind. So, and I think this did calm down a lot of people. You don't have to panic sell your collection or anything like that, and instead you can just keep playing with peace of mind. But, you know, it was definitely a big information drop overall. And the whole thing with the new anime series does leave a lot to be speculated in terms of, you know, what we can expect, because all that we know about the new series is basically what is written here. We don't know anything else. We don't know anything about what kind of anime we're gonna get. Are we gonna go back to like the old weekly format where it's like, you know, 50 episode seasons, or are we gonna stick with this kind of like 12 episode, 13 episode seasons with breaks in the middle? So let's make some predictions. Let's make some predictions over what might happen going forward from next year. Maybe beginning with the anime. Do you have any predictions in terms of what you think the anime might try to do?
Like I
Or
was
like
thinking
wishes, what you wish they would do.
I was thinking they could have done something like how they transitioned from Legion to G, right? And they had like a movie because they announced it's like a movie. Well, it's like a movie coming up, but then
Yeah,
it's
theatrical
probably
release.
like, yeah, but then there's gonna be like 3 episodes. They probably, we don't know. We're just speculating. But
Mm,
like there's gonna be 3 more episodes, is it? So I was thinking maybe they do some weird transition into like the new
yeah,
season.
that'd be cool.
And then they show off like the new mechanic, right? They're like, oh, the stride mechanic was like revealed back way back, and then it
Yeah.
became like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was.
And like they gave the promos out at the movie cinema, I
Yeah,
think.
the first Messiah stride.
Yeah, but then like they said it'll be a completely new main character, right? Or completely new characters. But
Yeah,
then but then it could be like they just mean like for the first season it'll be just completely new characters, and then they bring in like old people because it could be like a time. I don't know. It's just all speculation.
yeah.
So I was thinking it could be a transition kind of thing, but
Mm-hmm.
then they could just go with like it's just totally new series, um, new characters. They might like I think they had like for the manga and stuff. They ended Skyride, right, and they're gonna have a
Yeah,
new
they moved
one.
on to a new one now as well.
Yeah, and that one I think that series is like more targeted towards like kids as well, right?
Yes.
But overall, like here, how do we I think the scary part is that Divines was popular because the characters are really popular, right?
Yeah.
How do you tap into that market again?
Yeah, and how do you not
Or,
lose that market too? I think that's another very
yeah,
important thing.
or what other markets do you want to bring in? Are you gonna do the Pokemon route where you try and get like kids interested so they grow up with the anime, and
Yeah.
that kind of sets your like long term vision for like your IP, right? If the
Yeah.
kids grow up with the anime, then they'll stick with it for a very very long time. Like a lot of my Indo friends, they were like, "Oh, I watched Vanguard as a kid. Now I come back to it, or I'm still playing it." That's like a very very strong thing when we discussed earlier about the strong base that you have.
Yeah.
Um, so maybe it's something to target those, but it does mean it's very hard to like satisfy both, right? Both markets where you satisfy new emerging, growing up, younger audience with the I guess the older crowd slash maybe even the fangirl crowd.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that Akina's voice actor being a famous idol was an intentional choice to a certain extent to try to tap into a new audience. So I'm curious. I do think that is quite valid because they have been doing things to try to push for a younger crowd with like the manga and whatnot with Skyride. Although I do wonder because Yu-Gi-Oh tried that as well with Rush Duel, and
Mm.
what ended up happening is that didn't pick up as much, I think. Um, but the good thing is that Yu-Gi-Oh was already so established with like our generation, that they just ignored Rush Duel and just kept playing Yu-Gi-Oh as it is, right, and as it kept on being.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're going back to just focusing on what makes Yu-Gi-Oh now. Like there's no new anime, but I mean they are doing anime of the lore, I guess, like the Sky Striker stuff and the IP Masquerena, like animated short and all that kind of stuff. So they're just developing the world of Yu-Gi-Oh a bit more. I don't think that's the direction that we're going to go in for Vanguard, because I feel like it's always been pretty tightly knit, like the world of Cray and how it
I think
reflects on the real world.
I think at the beginning of D, they tried to develop the lore more, and then they threw it out the window when
Yeah.
Divines, especially when Divines came along. They went tournament arcs just work. We should
Yeah.
make even more tournament arcs.
Just make more, yeah. I think
Yeah.
one thing that I would really like, this is like a personal request or wish for the anime in the future, was if we went the build fighters route. And it's like the anime is about like, it's sort of like an in-universe thing where Vanguard is I mean it always was like this back in the first season too, where it's like the very first episode, it just re-aired. I watched the remaster. And like Vanguard is a popular game played by people all over the world, and I'm this guy, right? But it'd be cool if it's like it's even more meta than that, and it's like you see like episode 1 opens up with like somebody watching TV and it's like an episode of like Vanguard G, or it's an episode of like Kai versus Ren or something playing on the TV, and the character like turns off the TV and then like you know the story starts, and it's like about how like Vanguard exists in the real world like the way that it does now, and then they can do like some supernatural stuff on top of that. But I feel like it'd be cool if they tried to sell the TCG player experience a bit more, because that's what I really liked about the original series, both OG season and G as well, was that they showed going to locals. They showed locals, regionals, these levels of tournaments, traveling to these tournaments and stuff like that. And D's removed that basically entirely, where everything just happens. Boom, 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 boom. It's like everything is just constantly going.
It's all about the tournaments now. You know,
it's all tournaments, but it's not even like different levels of tournaments. Like, we're going to this, like they literally play in Ariake Arena, which is like, this is a Olympic venue. And it's like, okay, Evo, the fighting game event, did take place there. But it's like at the same time, there's levels to this, right? It's like they do the shop, they go to a card shop sometimes because the character has like a plot thing to happen at the card shop.
Then you buy cards. You know,
yeah, they have to go buy a card, or they have to like go talk to the shopkeeper who's gonna unlock the next story arc or something. But I feel like in the first couple seasons they were a lot more, I don't know, they treated the card shop as this environment where the characters gather, and I was like, yes, that's exactly what happens in the real world. It's people of different ages and backgrounds gather at card shops, and that's how they build their social circle. And that's kind of like what led to me finding my locals in the first place, because watching Yu-Gi-Oh didn't teach me about locals. I didn't know about the concept of playing in a card shop or just how tournaments work in general until I watched the first season of Vanguard. And I feel like going back to that would be nice. So I kind of wish that they do that and like just treat it very meta.
It's because they had a lot more episodes to work with in the original anime. That's
true.
Other issue, right? If you only have 13 episodes, you can't waste time at a card shop. You can only go to your finals, your world finals, or your Phantom Universe. Like that's the only thing.
The Build Fighters could, bro. That was a 25 episodes season.
Yeah, it's 25 episodes, very different from 13 or 12.
I'm fine with 25 episode season and nothing for the rest of the year, bro. Just give the characters time to develop, man. That's like my biggest problem with the D era anime. It's like it feels like the characters just don't have time to develop. But
yeah, you know, I agree. Like a lot of episodes could be 2 episodes originally, but because they only have 13 episodes to work with, they have to compress it into one episode, which is a bit like, sometimes you just want to take it slow so you can, show things rather than tell things. But if you don't have enough episodes to work with, you just got to tell them. You got to like Jujutsu Kaisen narrator the whole thing, Yeah. Like I personally liked the campiness of like the old series, but that could just be me being like, the old days were better, because like a lot of people do like the new ones. They like how even though there's less episodes, each episode there's technically more quality in it, I guess. The animation looks better, the music is better, and they have a famous boy band voice actor.
Yeah. I think there's camps for both, because I have seen some people, like now that the remaster of the original season is airing, I have seen people go like, oh my god, it's not that I grew out of Vanguard, it's just that I miss, like I just preferred when it was like this instead of like how it is these days with like the 12, 13 episode seasons. So I do wonder how they're gonna, like, this is probably the biggest point I'm curious about. It's like, what's the format gonna be? More so than the plot is like, are we gonna stick with a D format of just, these 12 episode seasons? And they might, because Divine's clearly worked out in terms of revenue and making money. But I do think that we're not alone in wishing for a more thorough anime, right? That it's not just like plot A, B, C, D, like is like episode 1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah. Like I'm kind of a cynical guy. I believe they'll just go, whatever made money, let's just keep on repeating that and print it and keep on doing the same thing. But again, I agree. I do like my Saturday campy anime where I don't have to think much, and it satisfies the they reveal the new card and it's like cool kind of thing. I mean, they still do, like, you still get the new card and it's cool thing, and they review it on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But I think there's just a difference where like you have an episode where you build up to something and then the thing happens rather than the thing just happens and there's no build up to it. I think
Yeah.
that's probably the main thing that I'm missing.
Yeah. Yeah. I do agree. I do agree that I missed that a lot as well. But that's what we think about the anime. What about the TCG? What do you think? So now that NAC has basically said that they're just adding to the current card pool, any predictions for what's gonna happen? Are we remaking strides from scratch?
So I'll be real. Even without the announcement, I knew that there would be no like reboot or whatever or like block format because like the reality is just this: if they did do that, if they went, there's a fourth reboot, guys, everyone's gonna quit. Like
Yeah,
that's just it. Like
we talked about
yeah.
that people are more lenient and more forgiving and all that stuff, but that's like the Vanguard players
not
are a bit different.
Reboot. Yeah. So yeah, I pretty much expected there'll be no reboot. You just add on more cards. The thing is, we need more substantial mechanics. Okay, I think right now the game has been pretty stale, even after they made a huge ban list. But we really haven't gotten any new substantial mechanics apart from like not really anything. You know, they announced D Legion, but it kind of I didn't really feel the excitement.
Yeah.
And then like a lot of the other mechanic, like they release new mechanics every set, but we're heading into the place where you know it's just mechanic explode or it's just another name for something. Oh, I just hit my microphone, but but we need something. I think we need something more than like Persona Ride. Something that like it's been how many years? Like 5 years, 5 years.
Yeah, I think it's the
years have
5th
been
year now.
passing.
D is the longest running era of the game by far.
Yeah, I think we need I think we need something different, right? Like the design space needs to be changed a lot. Like people like we're part of the parts where we joke that you know it's just another multi attack deck, 5 attacks, wow, triple drive, you know, plus 5k. It's but like there could be different things. There's like a lot of there's a lot of things they can work with, even things like you know set design space, for example. Commons could be something useful. Triple rare, it can't just be like you know the triple rares are the good cards and then the commons are just like random chaff, right? You could design cheap ride lines for like a budget format or whatever where you can only use like commons and like normal rares, for example. There's like so much things you could do, but I feel like they haven't really been you know doing that with with divines. I mean even divine skill, like when you think about it in a nutshell, you're like that was how many sets ago, like 14 sets ago. But it's just like it's just a funny name for once per turn, once per fight skill, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with like Ace units. So they with card design they could get more creative slash more adventurous.
I do think so as well. I do like playing Grand Archive has definitely opened up my eyes in terms of like how balls to the wall you can really get with card design and just it sometimes like when I do play Grand Archive, I feel like every deck plays a different game. Sometimes like it's crazy how different these decks are and like how much they do. But even it's like, you know, it's Pokemon, you know, I bring up quite a lot, but it's interesting how you look at a Pokemon deck and a lot of them do actually have a lot in common, right? They all play their search cards, they all play like the good draw supporters, they play a certain amount of energy. So the card to card differences in deck lists in Pokemon are technically not that much, but every archetype plays so differently and so uniquely and has something in there that makes the deck feel very unique, despite the fact that the lists, if you remove the archetype cards, are very similar. But it's like the non-archetype stuff is what basically just oils the machine, and then the machine, the engine, is the actual archetype. And I do hope that, I don't know, I always talk about how 2024, the first year of Divines, was so nice because I feel like we had so many decks that were very unique, right? You had, you know, whether it's at the start or at the end of it, you had decks that felt unique and you had a reason to play them because of that uniqueness. Especially like at the end, you know, you had Levy Dress, which had the whole power down and draw mechanic. It's like you choose either you're going to power down your opponent's stuff or you're going to power up your own stuff. You had Odium, which was a very straightforward deck that just wanted to achieve its win con of getting an extra turn and winning. You had Rezael, which was like if you're a fan of like resource gaming and these like, you know, these constant +1s that sort of add up into just like outgrinding your opponent, you have that deck for yourself. If you want to just, you know, play a completely different game, you had Ela de Glema, right? And it's like Ela de Glema was an interesting design per se. It wasn't exactly the most fun to play against, but it was a unique deck that was kind of just created, and you know, they didn't ban it immediately, which means that, you know, they were like, all right, let this, you know, let this beast out and see what it does. And then at the beginning as well, it's like, you know, you had a lot of interesting promos that, for example, like Emigrar made Eva good, so I was really enjoying that too. There was a time when like all the different divine skills felt like they had a different purpose. You had one that was like for setup, one that was the win con, you know, and then you had ones that you could kind of like pressure your opponent into whether you'll use them or not, right? Like Vargas at the beginning, Zorgas at the beginning, they were like, oh, it's like if I use this here, maybe I don't win, but I get to take enough resources that'll snowball for the game. Or maybe if I risk it here, I could win from this like extra restand and stuff like that. And then sometimes your opponent, you know, misguards because they expect you to use it, but then you don't. And then now they like lost all their important pieces. And so I feel like the first year of Divines, the card design was so good. And I feel like it was really, really fun year to play the game. And then last year, I didn't really feel that as much. I really feel like we took these things that make cards good and we gave them to everything, right? It's like, it feels like everything had restanders, everything had reviving cards that self-revive if you achieve a certain condition, everything had draw a card, go to soul, you know, all these things that felt unique. Like reviving from drop was the whole clan's gimmick back in the day, and then instead it's kind of distributed to everything now.
I think half of it was just the meta was also very stale. Like you had Virgila, Bev Saga for a very, very long time, being the top deck. So it just felt like nothing really changed. And sure, it's nice that you can invest in one deck and then you can play that for a very, very long time. But there should be like other alternatives that you can kind of jump into as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, again, I bring up Pokemon, but Gardevoir EX was good from the day she was released until the day she rotated. One of the best decks in the game for that entire time she was legal, but there was always other decks available, and there was always other decks available in the meta that you could play while that was still the top dog the entire time, right?
Yeah, I think you shouldn't have to like wait for a ban list for a deck to disappear. It should, like, of course, you know, this becomes like some like power creep, but you can make it in a way where there's like a lot of options that are substantial options, where it's not just everything does the same thing, and then because of that there are different options that you can choose because everything is literally the same just with different art. Or just you just do a kind of a different move just to achieve kind of the same thing. But then you need to have unique things, unique mechanics, unique ways of play that make it where it's still competitive. So you can play something different, but it's still good. And it's definitely going to be harder to balance, and you're going to have definitely some imbalances as well. But I think it's still good to have like a kind of uniqueness, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious to see what they do cook up in terms of new things. I mean, when we went from original to G, they invented strides, and even the original season, you know, they brought us like Legion and Breakride and all these other things. And then G was kind of just rode on stride for the longest time, but even then introduced some new cards like the Zeroths and whatnot.
Even then, like, yeah, beginning of G, like Legions was still good for like 6-7 sets, maybe even more, depending on the deck. So it's like a soft transition, right? But still, like, it just feels like they do need to be more creative and more take some risks with the card design.
Yeah.
And then at least because back then you also had, back in G, you had like 26 clans or whatever that you have to print support for. So you half the time was just being very, very slow with support. That's why it took a lot of sets to get to a point where everything was similar slash had their own kind of way to play. But now, because we only have six nations, right?
Yeah.
It's just things get updated very, very quickly, which means that you should invent more things for players to be able to have fun with. Especially when your set sizes are still relatively big. You have commons to work with, you have rares to work with, you have triple rares to work with, kind of thing.
Yeah. I think, yeah, it's like it's hard to really predict like what the next mechanic will be, because there's not, every time they make a new mechanic, it's usually something like unprecedented for the most part. But there are things that I do Like I do think that going into a new series is a good time to patch things up. And I do think that the let's not get into the OT discussion. We can make a whole episode about the OT at some point, but I do think that is like one point of contention. They've introduced new triggers almost every time we go to a new generation, so
I think having 2 billion ride lines doesn't help as well.
yeah.
Like, because in the end, they literally just become new ride lines that either do very similar things to a lot of things with like a lot of stuff previously, or they're just not as good as those. So they just become extra pieces of art that, you know, someone might play, but a lot of times it's just ignored.
Yeah.
Like they can, like, each set you don't have to release like 2, 3 new ride lines or whatever. You can just, even one is enough, and then kind of like going from there, just making sure everything is like more quality instead of just quantity. I think one of the other things that, you know, Lyrical has like so many, because every time they release a new Lyrical set, they print like 6 new ride lines. Then you have to
Yeah.
support like 50 Lyrical ride lines that you're not going to be able to support, right? People,
Mm-hmm.
I think if you ask someone to recite every single Lyrical ride line, they're not going to be able to do it.
No, there's
Some
gonna be
people
someone
will,
forgotten
but
there for sure.
I think not. I think 90% of the people won't be able to do it. I don't think I'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
Um,
And we talk about this game quite a lot.
Yeah, and even if you don't have to name the name, you just have to describe the character. You probably won't be able
Every
to
single one
describe
at
one.
this point, yeah, that does get tough. Maybe someone in the comments can off the dome, no cheating. Name every single lyrical ride line.
Yeah, well, I guess if you describe it, it's not hard. There'll be like 6 of them in like Halloween outfits.
Yeah,
There'll be 6 of
6 of
them
them
in
in Christmas
Christmas
outfits.
outfits. Maybe it's not that hard, but if you
Yeah,
just have to describe it. But yeah,
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
well, I think less ride lines will be a good thing, because that also contributes to, again, the thing we said before, mechanics point, where this is a product. What's a product? I don't know. Go check it up on the rules. What about what about something else? What's a phantom? What's a phantom skill? Well, it's just a skill, right? Okay. What's a toy? What's a happy toy?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
thing. You know, it's, yeah. Like, there's so much extra that I feel like they don't need. Things are streamlined for a reason, but if there's
Mm-hmm.
so many mechanics, then it's not really streamlined. That was actually one of the problems I had when learning GA as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
there were a lot of, you know, keywords.
You're
So
looking stuff up a lot.
yeah, and that will likely be the same thing with Magic if I get back into it, because I haven't played Magic in over 20 years. I'll be like,
Mm-hmm.
what is this queue? I wouldn't know what it is. I'll have to read the brackets or hope that there is like a
Hope that
bracketed
there is an
explanation.
explanation text, right?
Yeah. So I think like you have to keep keywords and things like that very, very succinct and like straight to the point. You can't just spam them, right?
Yeah,
I think I would have criticized all G keywords as well. Like,
yeah.
if they didn't really do us like an important thing,
V
then I
was
don't
quite
think it
good
was like a
about
good
that. I
keyword.
feel like V kind of got rid of all the keywords, but the one thing is like it's like we I feel like with late D we've had like two big things that I feel like there's too
Oh,
much of. One is
I know
keywords.
exactly.
Two is if your Vanguard is this, or if you reveal this from your right deck that is a grade 3. It's like 3 lines of text to describe
Yes,
like one
that
action. Oh
that
my god.
100% should be a keyword. Well, something like a toy or whatever, that could be like the race, or like something just written on like the bottom.
Just
Doesn't
make
have
up a
to be a
verb. Just make
keyword.
up a verb and just
Yeah.
call it that. Like that process of like either if your Vanguard is this or if you reveal this from your right deck, just make up a verb and like and just rock with it. Like just change it. It's fine. We'll learn. We learn what
You can even
energy
add
is
like a
and all that stuff.
typing, right? Like an extra new space called typing, whatever, and it's just you can slap it there, or, you know, special thing, or like anything. But I think, yeah,
I hate that.
something
It's
should
so
definitely, the ride line slash Vanguard name thing should definitely be a keyword. Just say, like, half the, like, it's worse in like English because the text is even longer.
yeah. But no, in Japanese is also it takes up so much space because it's like they have to write because like it's a lot of katakana as well. So it's like unito and it's like raido deki and like vangado. So it's like all these like long words. So it takes up a lot of space in both languages.
Yes, that should be a keyword. Make that 100. If we still have ride decks and you're gonna do that next set, I mean next season. I mean, okay, It doesn't even have to be the next the new era Vanguard. Just print it the
Just
next
do
era.
it now.
Just say, hey,
Yeah, just do it
yeah,
now.
do it now. Do it now. We
Yeah.
figure it out, guys.
I think one idea I did have is after playing GA, this is also what I was thinking about for Vanguard in the future. How would you feel if they developed the ride deck the way that GA has the material deck? So for those of you that don't know how Grand Archive plays, it's pretty similar to modern Vanguard, where you have basically a ride deck, like you have your 0, 1, 2, 3 that you choose to ride up, or you can play basically a weapon from your material deck. So you choose one of the two per turn, and there's some weapons that play themselves automatically if you fulfill a condition and stuff like that. But then there's others that, just kind of like you have to choose if you want to ride up or not. But I feel like Vanguard's game
Yeah.
design is so ingrained in riding up as fast as possible and unlocking triple drive or twin. Well,
I
I
mean,
guess it's twin drive usually. But
my my original idea of the ride deck was that it wasn't supposed to be like your optimal ride every single time. Like it's like a backup ride. And then you'd have
ah,
your optimal ride by like, drawing, because then you'd have like your own, you still build your deck in a way where it's very, very, um, you still stick with like the idea of, good ratios and you get rewarded for that. But if you
mm,
missed, you'd have a ride deck to work with. But I definitely think, yeah, I do think you can expand on the ride deck a bit more, not just go from 0, 1, 2, 3 optimal rides all the single time. You could have other things there that like are accessible to you, because like one of the best thing about strides in Geo is that you had a toolbox that was very available to you like at any point in the game. Well, only after you ride to grade 3, but it was like a toolbox that was available to you, and that could be something that you could have in the ride deck, or just change the ride deck to something else totally. It's not called ride deck anymore. It's like when the fusion deck in Yu-Gi-Oh got changed to the extra deck.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think like one thing they should definitely do is make energy better. That's
Yes, I agree.
energy is such a terrible mechanic right now. It's literally like right now everything is like energy blast 3, and you get 3 energy a turn. So it's again
Yeah.
that train line of this is what you should be doing. And if you're not doing that, you're doing it wrong. But then sometimes some decks have energy blast 4 for some reason, and that automatically makes their deck less playable, right? And then
Yeah.
I mean, other decks that they've been experimenting with like Energy Blast 2. Sometimes you get an extra energy as well, but so far it's just been so unexplored
The Bangor
that it's
Index, technically, they did a lot of like pay as much energy as you want to do as much of this as you want kind of thing.
yeah, which I think is like better. Right?
Yes.
It's way better than just I either Energy Blast 3 or Energy Blast 7. Um, and then you know what I actually really hate about energy as well
Mm-hmm.
is that if you use energy cards, you grab them from the deck, you get 3 a turn, and then you put them back into the deck. So this action of like taking and putting away is actually really annoying,
Takes
because
time.
you also have to hold, yeah, you also have to hold your hand, and then this becomes, you use your other hand to like do that, and it wastes time, which is why I still use like the energy counter and all that stuff.
Same, same, same.
And it makes me appreciate why when you play things like Magic or One Piece, where they have a mana system, you don't just put cards back all the time.
They
They
stay
stay
there,
there.
right?
You turn it sideways. Like the action of turning the card sideways is like it's better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do agree. It's like that could have been the direction they took it in and just let you rest the energy instead of having to put it back. But
Mm.
I also, from the moment they introduced it, I was really hoping they would do this, and I'm surprised it's been, 2 years plus now and hasn't happened. But we never got like a Energy Blast 10 to do something huge effect, right?
Or even different energy generators. They've just it's just like
Yeah,
this
right.
extra
Because they were
card.
like, this goes in your ride deck as a type of generator. And
It's
I guess
just
they made
there.
crests, but that was different.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I feel like adding more choice again gives you more opportunities to be different in like the deck construction process. Because the another thing that I dislike is that a lot of deck decisions are pretty much done for you. You have at least 20 cards or 21 cards, which they're kind of set in
21.
stone. And then after that, you have the persona rides. You have just the thematic cards for your ride line, and then after all that, you don't have many cards to pick from. So I think having more choices being able to pick like what kind of generator you want to use. Even that can be like, okay, kind of change how my deck plays. The generator can do something different rather than Energy Blast 7 to draw a card. You can have Energy Blast 10 to do the cool thing that you want to do, and it work well with decks that just don't require energy. Or it could be like, Energy Blast 4 and like, or Energy Blast 3 to like discard a card and draw a card kind of thing, like hand filter instead.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
something different, something different. And it also gives them more opportunities to print more stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I
Or
mean,
prize cards.
there's your prize cards for the next year. Yeah, you're done.
Doesn't invalidate energy as well. So all those
Yeah.
energy cards that people have been picking up, it's
Yep.
you can
Yep.
you can
I do
use
think
that.
it's there's a lot that you can work with. If you're a Booster employee watching this, take notes.
Have you heard of putting energy under your cards? It's like,
oh, we're just remaking One Piece TCG.
No, this is actually really funny. So One Piece has that Don system where you put your like Don, which is your mana basically, under your cards to give extra power, right? So Dragon Ball also has something similar where they have a thing called an energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an
Literally,
energy card.
yeah, it's the same.
Yeah. So back then, apparently, it was just if you went second, you got an energy card. It was just like the coin where you get an energy. It's like an EX resource.
Yeah.
And once you use it, it disappears, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now in Dragon Ball, they have a thing called Key, where you put energy cards under your cards, and it's like an extra resource as well. It doesn't give +1k or anything. It's just an extra resource.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that you have to buy like 20 energy cards now.
And interesting.
You have to use more energy cards, and actually, like you get like a lot. You can get a lot more EX resource. You get a lot more energy in your like resource zones. So there's like they just needed more ways for you to want more energy cards.
That's
But that
pretty
does
cool,
actually, that does actually make more usage out of like the energy system. For example, if you were to apply that now to Vanguard, right? That's rather than have just 10 energy cards sitting there and every time you go flip 3 and put 3 back. You could use them.
I
to
do
more
think
things.
there's a lot of missed opportunities.
Yeah, adds more depth, more horizontal depth to the game. So
I agree. I think one more thing. While we're still on this topic of like things they could be doing, so Riftbound, obviously released in Chinese first, then in English, and now they're coming out in French this year. So there's like this whole language versions discussion. Like obviously Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon and Magic have a very big strength because they release in so many different languages, and they also have printing facilities in those regions to not make it too expensive to do that. And as we all know, Bushiroad doesn't have printing facilities in in every single region to be able to do that. But there was this announcement from these Spanish demo sessions that are happening in Spanish speaking countries, where you actually get a demo deck in Spanish. But unfortunately, they did say that they're not gonna create a Spanish version. And it's funny because these demo sessions are happening for Vanguard and Palworld, but only Vanguard gets the Spanish version. But it's like such a cool thing, because I do think that for a lot of regions, not having a version of the game in their language is part of what doesn't help these games grow as much compared to the ones we just mentioned.
So I think the one thing about the Palworld one is that I think the cards are still like under it's still a beta version of the cards, so they don't fully get everything. Because I think when they were in Sydney, they were doing Palworld as well as like a show off kind of thing. But it wasn't still like the finalized version of the cards, so I can kind of see why. But in a way, we do have different versions of like different language versions of Vanguard already, right? We have Italian Vanguard, we have Indonesian
Korean,
Vanguard,
Chinese,
Hausa, Chinese. So they are there. They're just like not unified at this, like they're not at the same point in time.
And they're usually managed by someone different.
So
not everything is managed by Bushiroad as well, which I think is also, can sometimes be in the way more than help expansion. So I do hope that
having like a worlds, unified worlds might be nice.
That dude, oh my god, I swear to God.
Oh, you know what we haven't said?
Yeah.
Worldwide release. Having the new season, the new set.
Yeah.
Might be a good time to do worldwide release, right?
That would be indeed a good timing to do. I mean, every other company's doing it now, right? It's like, especially looking
Yeah.
at Bandai. They started with Digimon, and then obviously with Gundam as well, and then now we have
Oh,
One Piece synced up too, and then
One Piece is soon. I think they're gonna do
it's like next month or the month after,
2027.
right?
No. It's still a while off, but we're getting there.
It's this year though. I'm
It's
pretty sure it's meant to be this year.
maybe. It was. I thought it'd be soon, but it was actually just a bit further off than soon.
Okay.
But like, but for example, like Gundam having the worldwide release is
It's so
like
nice.
so good. Like literally, I can go to Japan in 2 weeks, which I am, and would be like, Dia, if you want to play some games of not Vanguard, it'll be Gundam, right?
Hmm.
And then you'd be like, yeah, I don't have to take out like 30 cards from my deck because they're not released yet. We could just play the format as it is. Though I do
Exactly.
think there is a set releasing just before I leave, so I might not have the.
Yeah, so
But
sadly they
even
don't have
okay,
language mixing, but
but even so, you can mix things like resources
true.
and like basically stuff outside like tokens. You can have like mixed language. So but
Yeah.
Vanguard doesn't allow. I feel like imagine if your energy generator, if you want an energy generator in English or Japan, and you can go to the other region and use your like prize card. That'd be good, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not the main deck, but these are things that are not in the main deck. That'd be cool. I want to use Lawson Energy when I play Vanguard in
English, right?
English. Yeah, it's like, and it just feels such an easy change
Yeah,
that
I
it'd be
do
nice
agree.
to do.
I
Yeah.
do agree. So we'll see what they do on that front. And if you guys have any other interesting ideas in terms of what you would like to see in terms of what could happen with the new series, and let us know in the comments of this one as well. We might feature them in the next episode potentially, or use that as a bit of a discussion point as well. But I do think that for the first episode, we have covered quite a lot of different things, both in terms of general TCGs and also about just stuff for Vanguard. But before we close out, since Vanguard and Bushiroad Game Worlds is happening in just a couple of weeks now, we are likely the next episode is going to be likely recorded in person, probably right after Worlds ends. Probably just like go sit on the beach and just talk.
Yeah. Grab a beer. Yeah.
Oh hell yeah, hell yeah,
Climb up a mountain. We don't
yeah.
know. It could be anything.
Could be anything. So we'll definitely talk about our impressions from Worlds and the Bushiroad Vanguard festival at that time as well. But before we close out, any predictions for Worlds? I mean, we are, if in case you didn't know, we are commentating for Vanguard, which will be both standard and premium. There's going to be streams for Vice and Shadowverse Evolve as well. So make sure you tune in to the official channels to watch that. But any predictions on? I mean, you can cover Vice. I don't really know anything about Vice. I can cover Evolve, but
Yeah.
then we
Okay.
can do together.
So for Wise, I'm biased. All right. I have to, I want my buddy Mark One. He's been playing Wise for a very long time. To win it. He saved Bushiroad a lot of money by winning like 7 playmats 1 year, so they didn't have to spend that much plane ticket. So I
True.
think it's his time to shine.
Yeah. Any decks that you expect to do well then?
Right now I only know of 2 top decks, I think, and that is probably like Bang Dream and Overlord.
Oh,
I
okay.
think those are like
Wow, those
because
decks are in Vanguard too.
whoa, yeah, no, but but yeah, no, I haven't played that much Wise, so I don't know. I mean, in English, I think Nikkei is very very popular too.
Oh yeah, right.
Uh,
That is available.
Nikkei, yeah. So I think there's a few choices to pick from. Of course, people sometimes just bring their favorite deck anyway. They just go, "Oh, it's Worlds. I'm just gonna bring my favorite." And Weiss is a game that does allow that.
Mm-hmm.
So there could be anything, but those 3 are the top decks. I think Oshinoko also new set of Oshinoko also got released. Like I think like last month. Yeah.
Mm.
So there could be something like that too.
Okay.
And then also Weiss is the one place in the world where every single set is available to play. So, things
Mm.
like Disney and Marvel, which would normally only be able to play in places like Hong Kong. We can't
Uh-huh.
even play English Weiss. You're allowed to play it in Japan as well. So someone might even bring
Ooh.
those.
True.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for Evolve, the current English meta is the one that I played a lot in Japan last summer. And we basically have like the tier ones are there's quite a few tier one decks. I do think Dragon is like a little bit ahead of everything else, so I do expect Dragon to do quite well. It's based around Burnight, who was from the first set of Worlds Beyond as well. If you guys played Worlds Beyond or play, but there's also a lot of other good contenders. Like Forest has like a very cool aggressive deck that's like very consistent, and it does sometimes like just beat things like Dragon before they get set up. And then Abyss, there's a lot of good Abyss archetypes too. So I think those are like, and then Sword's been like just good for the longest time, but I do think Sword, it kind of got good towards the end of this format in Japan. So, but I know that the English players definitely do craft things a bit differently from the Japan side. So I'm really curious to see how things are going to end up there. But I do think Dragon has like a very good chance. And then for
what up to Overlord? Overlord.
Oh, Overlord. Technically, Vang, yeah, Overlord could technically do decently too. There's definitely going to be some people bringing it, but I do have some friends playing in the Evolve event. I mean, we have friends in each one of these formats, so I don't want to knock anyone down by picking a favorite. But
we have to be biased, being nice. It's all right. It's all right.
For Vanguard, we're commentating, man. That's the one place we can't. But for Vanguard, I think Standard is going to be cool because they like big ups to Boucher International for getting that restriction list through fast. Makes it way more interesting than having to watch Virgil mirrors all day, or Minerva mirrors or Hardluru mirrors. Like, you know, we're still going to see Hardluru, I think, and we're going to see like Degudegnas and but probably a lot of surprises. I do expect to see some.
I think B Heroes.
Yes,
will have a decent chance as well.
I see you're not the only one whose friend group is be like, yo, man, I think B Heroes are pretty real.
Yeah, Token Rambu, I feel like people might take it now because
if they can get all the stuff.
Yeah, got hit, right? But no, Deep Lands is still a top pick, I feel like. Heart Luru as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think again, the format is way more open than it was before.
And the icon decks aren't out yet either, so. That does.
So no Aichi icon.
No Aichi. And no Kai, I guess, as well.
Yeah. Kai is whatever.
It's all about the Aichi. Yeah, so I think for Standard, it's going to be pretty exciting on that front. Premium, I genuinely am not very well versed. I saw they made an announcement regarding how loops are processed. So I'm expecting Fenrir to do well. I don't know if there's
Fenrir didn't get hit.
So I know.
There's a chance he does really well. But there's also a world where, because this feels like the last premium worlds, that there's people who want to win it, or there's people who want to bring their favorite deck for a last hurrah.
Yeah, know? Or they want to be remembered. Like, bring something crazy, get put on stream, and then be remembered for something wild, right?
That's right. Yeah. Like, I mean, if you bring Fenrir and lose, then hey, you know, no one remembers you. But if you bring like a Bon and like win a game on stream, everyone's gonna remember that. I mean, even last year there was someone who did it too, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So, and even though we talk about all the loops are still around, I still feel like there's enough how do you say it, innovation that premium players have. They think of the craziest things that are still possible, that it won't just be loops and Narukami. Like that's my thought. You know?
Okay. I'm excited. I haven't really studied the format as much, so I'm going to do some cramming. Go to cram school for premium.
The comments, they can send us out there some of the crazy decks in premium and
predictions. Yeah, what they think is going to do well at Worlds.
Help us study. You know, all the crazy premium decks. I mean,
it's a community effort.
Yeah. The crazier the better, because we know all the straightforward ones, but you know, if you have some crazy loop, hey.
Yeah.
don't have to reveal any tech, but hey, it's
that's true. Yeah, so make sure you tune into the Worlds streams. They will be on the Bushroad social media. You can follow their social media to know where it's going to be. I'm not sure if it's YouTube or Twitch or both, but that'll be clear once it starts. But we will be commentating in the Vanguard stream, so if you want to hear more of us rambling, then you will get to hear that in full glory all day long on the Vanguard side of the stream. And then if you're in Japan for Worlds or Vanguard Festival or anything, then, you know, come up to say hi. We'll be at the Vanguard Festival on both days. We're teaming up together for once, which is going to be very fun. So looking forward to that.
Right.
And yeah, there's lots of stuff to do. lots of good food to eat. And even if you're not coming here, then you can just enjoy Worlds from home as well. You know, maybe do a little watch party at locals like people used to do as well. And just enjoy the game, right? Enjoy the game, and especially premium. If you're a big premium player, then there's going to be a big celebration. That's for sure.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think for our first episode of the MetaShift podcast, that is going to do it. I hope those of you tuning in enjoyed yourselves, and let us know any feedback. I mean, we've always wanted to do a podcast together, and we kind of finally got off our asses and did it.
A long time coming.
Yeah, very long time coming. So let us know. Also, like the balance, I guess, because we kind of like struck a balance between talking about general industry stuff and specific games. And then if there's any other big happenings in TCGs that we don't play and you feel like we should be talking about them, feel free to let us know as well. Because, you know, even though we do play or look at a lot of games, we don't necessarily look at every single one. So stuff like Flesh and Blood, for example, I only have like one friend that tells me things, but you know, I don't keep up with everything.
Found out things about Flesh and Blood that are pretty interesting, but that can be another. Episode.
Let's save that for next time. All right, and then if you want to find us on socials, it'll be in the description. We have our own channels, we have our own social media, so feel free to check us out over there as well. But any other comments from you, Kai, before we close up?
No, it should be pretty. It's been fun talking about card games, and hope we talk about more. And see you all at Worlds, maybe if you go in.
Yep, and if not, we'll see you online. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks for the next episode. Bye-bye.